Hey guys, coming at you today from my kitchen for a video I'm super excited to film. We're gonna be making some delicious birria in two different ways. One straight from scratch from a recipe I found online, and one using Easy Bombs in the slow cooker. We're gonna compare price, taste, ease of use, and all that fun stuff. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alycia. I'm a pastry chef with a sweet tooth, and I've worked in restaurants most of my life, and I'm here to show you all the tips and tricks on how to make the best recipes possible. So if you enjoy, please hit the subscribe button down there, give the video a thumbs up, leave me comments, and share with all your friends and family. It really helped me out a lot and doesn't cost you anything, but helps me bring you videos every Saturday. Today, some birria, something I've never really been able to eat because I've never made it before, and it just blew up in the last maybe 4 years or so here in Buffalo, New York at newer, fancier Mexican restaurants. And I've been out of the restaurant game for about 4 years now. So I'm excited to try this recipe and actually get to eat some birria, because at restaurants here, it's stuffed in a corn tortilla and fried up. Traditionally, birria was just a Mexican stew, but apparently not that long ago, people in the US made it into birria tacos. So I'm excited to try it in a bunch of different ways. I'm gonna have tons of it. So let's get started first with the Easy Bombs. Okay, let's take a look at this Easy Bomb product. It's definitely very similar ingredients to a regular birria. The biggest thing with the Easy Bombs is that they use chicken bouillon and beef bouillon, which there's really not many clean bouillons on the market in general. I have found one, which you'll see later, which is what we're using, but it's pretty much the exact same ingredients. And if you break down the nutrition on it, it's 50 grams of carbs for 4 pounds of meat, just like our homemade version is gonna be. So it's pretty comparable to making your own homemade. So we're gonna try it and taste it and see how it compares to a homemade version. And we're gonna be doing this in the slow cooker today. The recipe I found online is for the oven, so we're gonna be doing that. But if I was to use these Easy Bombs, I would definitely just set it up in the morning, turn it on, so it'd be ready for dinner. The directions on here is just toss up to 4 pounds of beef chuck roast cut into chunks, 4 cups of water, and 1 birria bomb in there. And you can pressure cook for way less time, 1 hour and 45 minutes. Slow cooker, high for 6 hours, low for 8. Stovetop, low heat for 3 hours or until fork tender. I would personally never do on the stove, especially if you have a gas. It's really hard to not get hot spots because, you know, you have direct flame on the bottom of your pot. But I bet you could also do 3 hours, 3.5 hours in a 350 oven, just like our homemade version is gonna be. So those are the options for this. It's pretty simple. So let's get everything into the crock pot. Has anyone else been sticker shocked by cheap cuts of meat? I had to buy the specialty chilies at a store that is a little bit more, you know, high end. And I went to buy the chuck roast there because I'm like, oh, chuck roast is cheap. You know, we'll get it at, you know, the little bit more expensive store. $8.99 a pound for chuck roast. When chuck roast is supposed to be like the poor man's, you know, cut of meat because you got to cook it long and slow. And, you know, pot roast. Pot roast was the cheap thing, you know, back in the day. So I opted to go to BJ's and it was only $6.99 a pound there. So food for thought, shop around for your meat for sure. So we're gonna cut this into chunks and throwing it in the slow cooker. All the recipes I looked up said to leave the fat on. It's kind of a staple in the birria to have a layer of the fat up on top of the broth you're making. So the main ingredients in the bomb are the same as a homemade recipe. So chilies, tomato, onion, garlic. I did put the whole lot in there. That was 4.3 pounds. Hopefully 0.3 pounds isn't gonna make too big a difference. Let's open this guy up. So this is available on Amazon. I'll have a link below. I looked the other day and it was $15.99 for 2 bombs. So it comes out to about $7.99 per. And that was about the cost of our ingredients for our homemade version. So without using very expensive beef stock, but just a bomb that goes in there, I guess. I don't know where exactly you're supposed to put it, but there's good, I guess. Smells good. And then just 4 cups of water. 1, 2, 3, 4. Didn't say hot or cold. I did hot. Just washed my hands, so the water was already hot. And then I guess we just set it and forget it. Very interested to see how this turns out compared to our homemade version we're about to make, which is a little bit more involved. That took me about 5 minutes to throw together. I'm also gonna time how long it takes to make the homemade version. So turning this on high, and we'll be back to this to compare later on tonight. Now on to the homemade version. Okay, now that that is all set up and going low and slow, let's get on to a homemade recipe. I looked up a bunch of different recipes, and that's how I found out that it was a stew before it was tacos. But they all had very similar ingredients. It was all just kind of amounts and stuff, but we're pretty much gonna be following one recipe completely that I found for just birria. Normally when I look for recipes online, I just go for either the top one or the 5-star one. Sometimes I look at reviews and stuff like that. But for something I've never made before, it's really just kind of luck of the draw because I don't even know what I'm really going for, you know? But when I looked up the recipe and saw that it was pretty keto friendly, it's a lot of peppers, onion, and garlic, which is what, you know, makes up the carb count in this basically. But other than that, it's just meat. The hardest thing is I had to go to a specific store, which it's only like 5 minutes away from Walmart, but I just never go there because I always spend way too much money, which is Wegmans, which I think is mostly in the Northeast. But I had to go there to pick up all the different chilies I needed for this recipe. So we have Arbo chilies, which I already have just 3 out here. Dried ancho chilies, which these are all cut, ready to go. I didn't realize that when I bought them, but it says right here approximately 3 peppers, which is what we needed for the recipe anyways. I'm just gonna try not to use all those seeds in there. And then guajillo chilies. Don't come at me in the comments for bad pronunciation. I took Spanish, but I cannot roll and all that stuff. So it's probably gonna be pretty bad. We need 2 of these, and these are already cut, but it says approximately 8 peppers. So we're just gonna use a 1/2 ounce because this is a 2-ounce bag of these peppers. Now to start out the recipe, we need to toast up these peppers a little bit. So if you didn't get ready cut ones, you want to take out the stems and seeds of all the peppers we're using. We're going to put it into a dry pan. I got a big bowl. We're going to need to soak these in 2 cups of water. So I'm going to do 1/2 ounce of these guys, the guajillo chilies. 1/2 ounce is 14 grams, so I'm just going to go by that. There we go. Got a little bit of seeds in there, not too bad. Apparently this isn't supposed to be like super spicy, but super flavorful. Like I don't like really spicy things. So I'm hoping that this isn't gonna be like too crazy. The Easy Bombs say mild on there. So took out that stem, kind of just broke it. Try to get the rest of the seeds out of here. Whoa, fling seeds everywhere. Okay, this place is a mess. I have a 3-year-old. There's stuff everywhere. So I did the carb count on this with Carb Manager because my Recipal app doesn't have a lot of savory stuff in it. But the reason I don't like Carb Manager, like I went and looked and I'm like, why is this so high in carbs? And I looked back, I put in this brand, Bailey Farms Arbo chilies, which are these little guys. And one of the choices was 3 peppers. So I did 3 peppers because that's what I'm gonna be. And it said 18 carbs for 3 little peppers that weigh 2 grams. So I went back in and I looked and I changed it from peppers as the serving to grams and put in 3 grams, and it went down from 18 carbs to 1 carb. So this whole batch, which I'm cooking 4.5 pounds of meat, is 50 carbs. So this recipe says it makes 10 servings, but that's why Carb Manager can be so tricky sometimes with that stuff. Okay, then last but not least, these ancho chili peppers, which I don't know how to do this because I really don't want all those seeds in there, because usually seeds is where a lot of the spice comes from. I'm not gonna be able to avoid some of the seeds. Okay, oh, it's a big pack of seeds. Okay. I'm gonna leave it at that, I think. Maybe take this one big piece out. Okay, so it's just 2 to 3 minutes on a medium-high heat. It's really the only measuring we need to do. While that's going, I'm gonna get 2 cups hot water to soak those in. Basically, you're just getting them warm to release some of the oils. It says to stir constantly, and they burn easily. They're not very warm yet. Oh, found more seed pocket or stem. Oh, I dropped it. Okay, say that's good. 2 cups of water. Okay, let those sit. I'm gonna wipe that out once it cools down a little bit. Next is preparing the meat. It says to pat the meat dry and then cut it into like 3-inch cubes. And patting dry just really helps to get a nice sear on the meat, less moisture. Meat to oil contact is better. Do one at a time. These are 2 1/4 pounds each. A big part of this recipe is the fat, which is why I thought it'd be good for keto. Literally, you make a consomme with like a layer of fat on top and you dip the tacos into that. So I was like, I want to figure out a way to make it at home so that I can make it with my tortillas or something else to eat it with. Pork rinds would probably be delicious. Okay, there's one. I'm gonna get that wiped out real quick and get it heating with a couple tablespoons of avocado oil. They said to fry it in batches anyways, so get this hot and start with these ones. It said to generously salt the meat too. I just bought this Dutch oven and it is a cheap one. I'll let you know what I think of it after today because it's the first time I'm using it. Save yourself time in the kitchen and always be multitasking. Like if it says to do the searing in batches, cut and be searing at the same time. It doesn't really matter on the uniformity of this because we're just braising this, so none of this has to be precise. Definitely messier than the Easy Bombs. I use a Celtic gray fine sea salt, in case you're wondering. This is just the bowl that I was defrosting my meat in. So I'm reusing it because we gotta wash it anyways to take the meat out of there. While the rest of that is going, right after that, we're getting our tomatoes and onion in there. So I'm gonna wash my hands real quick and get on to cutting those up. If they don't release right away, that means they're not done browning. Leave them alone if they don't move. So it said 3 to 4 Roma tomatoes. So I bought those. And 1 large white onion. I'm just using a yellow one. I looked up the carbs, they're exactly the same. I already had yellow onions on hand, and it says just to cut everything in 4ths, so quarter them. This is all going in a blender once we get it kind of charred up. Looking good. Now this is one step you skip with the Easy Bombs, but this imparts a ton of flavor into your sauce you're making. And the last thing we need here is 6 cloves of garlic. So each clove of garlic is a carb, so keep that in mind. These are big cloves. It doesn't even say to do anything with these, but I'm gonna at least give them a little whack so I can get the peels off super easy. I really should have my garbage bowl. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down now and these all out. Okay. I'm just gonna turn it off for a while because it said to cook all that stuff on medium high and then cook this on medium with no extra oil in there, which I find kind of crazy. So I think we definitely need some more oil in there. I did 2 to 3 tablespoons, so. Whoa, flying garlic. Also, I'm using a butane gas burner, which is crazy. So it's probably why it got so hot, even though it was only on medium. I didn't even have it on medium high, so. It's not even on anymore. Hot. So for the online recipe, it says medium. I have this all the way to low on my thing. While that's cooking, I'm gonna get the beef broth we're using for this recipe and get cleaned up. Oh, all that stuff on the bottom is coming up. Tomatoes are getting soft. It's looking good. Okay, hopefully it doesn't look too smoky in here. I had the fan on for a minute and I have a window open, so if it's loud, sorry. Next, we got to take the chilies, slotted spoon into here. It says to cook for 2 minutes. Everything's getting charred. Smelling delicious in here. Now, talk about the beef broth. It says 2 quarts of beef broth, 1 for now and 1 for later if you want to thin it down. This is where all our cost comes from because I'm using this beef bone broth. It's the only thing I've found that is like a quick bouillon, but bone broth. So I love it. I've been using it. I've been buying it on sale on Thrive. It's the cheapest I found. Walmart does carry it. So that's what I'm using. This whole box is $5 and we're using the whole box. So this is just 1 quart. And then if I need more, I'll use just water. But we're gonna deglaze. I'm just gonna pour some in and scrape the bottom of the Dutch oven. Try and get as much of that brown up as possible, otherwise known as the fond, that gives tons of delicious flavor to sauces and such. I'm gonna add the rest of that, and I'm gonna get 2 more cups, and then I'm gonna put in all the packets of powdered bone broth. Okay, I'm gonna put the 4 packets in there, and then we need to get the seasonings that go in here. Now that was where some of the recipes differed. The one recipe just said oregano, cinnamon, cumin, pepper, which I'm like, sweet, I have all that. But then I was looking up other recipes and one person said a Mexican cinnamon stick, which I don't have. They said if you don't have Mexican cinnamon sticks to just use regular. I'll put up here a clarification. I'll look it up again, but I'm just following the one recipe that I found. And then there's Mexican oregano. I don't have that either. But again, the recipe I looked up first just said oregano. So I was like, sweet. So if you have those ingredients on hand, say probably be the place to use them. I'm gonna get those seasonings and add that. And then it just says to cook for 5 minutes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I really think that bone broth is gonna impart way more flavor than a regular beef broth. If we do need to add anything to it, a little bit of water I don't think is gonna hurt. Okay, so I also forgot about the apple cider vinegar. 2 tablespoons of that. Teaspoon of oregano. 2 teaspoons of cumin. This is on like so low and it's boiling like crazy. Half teaspoon of cinnamon, and some of the recipes had clove in it as well. This one does not. And it just says salt and pepper to taste, which we're not really gonna be able to taste the seasoning until like we blend up the sauce. That was the other difference, is some recipes had some different added spices. Okay, simmer for a couple minutes, and then we gotta let it cool for a little bit before we can put it in our blender. I'm gonna leave the pepper here just in case we wanna use more. At this point, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 350 because we are braising this for 3.5 hours at 350 in our oven. Okay, I'm gonna do up a little switcheroo here and let this cool for a little bit. That took us about 30 minutes to throw together. So be back when we're gonna blend this sauce up and get it into the oven. Okay, oven's ready to go. This has been chilling for about 20 minutes. So I think it's good to put in this blender here. The other thing to say, we do dirty a lot of utensils. A slotted spoon, a wooden spoon of some kind, ladle, tongs. I'm excited to try this. I wonder if I can just pick it up. I haven't blended anything warm in here yet. Basically, I just use it to make Van ice cream, which is just frozen berries and yogurt. Open this up. Apparently I overheated it. That's crazy. Or maybe it just can't stay on for a certain amount of time. Because it's not even hot or anything. Putting all the meat back in the pot here. I'll give this sauce a little taste before we add it to this. Looks good. A little bit spicy. Woohoo! Oh, my husband's gonna love that. I'm gonna add salt. Sure. Probably another at least teaspoon. And give it a little bit more blend, I think. The spice is gonna get muted by, obviously there's a ton of beef in here and all the juices that are gonna come out of it too. So it's not like this is the end spiciness of this, I don't think. And there is salt on the beef too, so you gotta think about that. Ooh, yeah. Might need to add a little bit of beef broth at some point, but right now, that looks delicious. And freezes good for 3 months. So this is something you can make a bunch of and have it in your freezer. I'm gonna add all those beef drippings to here. What's better than beef drippings? Okay, oh, it looks so good. I'm so excited to have birria. Yay! Lid on, 3.5 hours at 350. So this Dutch oven was only 40 bucks. So I'll let you know how it does and how it cleans up. Into the oven it goes. Ooh. Meet you back here when I pull that out of the oven. Okay, it has been 3.5 hours and I am excited. It smells so good in here. It's time to grab it out of the oven. The moment of truth. And make sure it is pull apart tender. If it is, you gotta get it all shredded up. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yippers. I think we're good. Fatty pieces in there. Okay, well, I'm gonna let it cool down a little bit, but you shred all this up. It looks amazing. We're gonna have to wait for another day to try this one against the slow cooker one because it's about dinner time here and hubby's gonna be home soon. But we're gonna have to make our tacos and stuff and compare against the Easy Bombs on another day. Okay, it's another day. As you saw in that last clip, I separated the meat from the broth in the crock pot. I let it go over 7 hours because I checked it at 6 and it was just kind of still not quite fall apart tender, but 1 more hour and it was good to go. I have everything out here. I might need to rewarm some of the stuff here. As you can see, there is a pretty big difference with this is the Easy Bomb and this is the homemade, but you're always gonna have that. I mean, this took quite a bit longer to put together than the 5 minutes it took to throw that Easy Bomb in there. It is very convenient to have on hand for a quick dinner. This is just fun to make. I love cooking, but I know there's a lot of people out there that do not like cooking. Now let's make some birria tacos. It's delicious just like this. You can eat it like a stew or you can make it into tacos or quesadillas or burritos or pretty much anything you want. This is the special cheese. It's basically, it says use in place of mozzarella. So mozzarella is definitely a good option. I don't know what the texture of this is, so I guess we can just kind of pull it apart and place it on the tacos. Ours is a lot thicker of a sauce than the Easy Bomb. I like that it's kind of thick, but when you go to make your tacos or stews, you kind of want it a little bit more liquidy. It's nice that you can choose to thin it out a little bit if you want. So I'm gonna turn on the burner here. You want the pan pretty warm when you go and put these on there. So the fat is good to like fry in. You put it down. I'm gonna warm this up a little bit so we can get that fat on there melted. So I think ours just had a little bit more packed full of the actual peppers themselves, but it does say chilies. On the actual website, I looked at their Amazon and it said it had all those different chilies in it that we used in our birria also. Put some of this mozzarella on there. Our fat is much redder. So this one's almost melted. So I squeeze it together and that's your taco. I'm gonna try some of the meat on its own with the broth. It's the thing with the broth being thinner, it doesn't coat the meat, but it's gonna be delicious dipped in that broth. I'll try some of this on its own. It's a little bit saltier than mozzarella. Really good though. Basically you want it nice and browned on the outside. These are gonna be so good. Okay, so traditionally you would serve this and you put some raw white onion and cilantro in it and a little bit of lime. I am gonna do the lime But if you're new here, I'm kind of a picky eater, which is why I don't do a lot of cooking stuff and do more baking. I like sweets more than I like actual food. I really wish I liked cilantro, but it tastes like soap to me. Is what it is. First, the easy bomb into the consomme, which is a little bit darker now that it's kind of sat for a minute and pulled up. Delicious. A little bit of heat and a decent amount of flavor. It's pretty good. Especially for a dinner that took 5 minutes to throw together. It is delicious. Let's try our homemade version. It definitely does look more traditional. To the consomme. Delicious also. Yummy. My nose is gonna start running from the spice. Ours is definitely a little bit more spicy, but the nice thing is you can adjust that if you want. You can add a little bit more beef broth to your consomme to cool it down a little bit. Definitely a milder birria, but still delicious. And it took 2 seconds to throw together. And what we used, it was about the same except for that beef broth that we bought. But I still have this whole bag of chilies and another partial bag of chilies that I had to buy it all, but I broke it down by cents. This was only 14 cents and this was like 99 cents, but they both cost $3.99 each. So now we just have leftover peppers. If you don't want to buy all the special stuff and you want a very quick dinner, the Easy Bombs are definitely the way to go. So I will put the link down in the description box below for you to try some of your own. They also have a bunch of different flavors. I know Steve from Series Keto did the tinga. All in all, a very delicious meal, and I'm gonna be having a ton stocked in the freezer ready to go for more meals. Plus I sent some home with other people. So enough to feed a crowd for sure. And absolutely delicious. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I love cooking and I love creating something I've never made before. And it was cool to see a product I've never used before and how easy it was. There are a lot of options out there for this kind of thing, and it probably helped me a lot with making more fun and different meals, because like any mom, a lot of times I get stuck in the rut of the same things over and over again, like tacos and BLTs and chicken salad. It's the same every week. So it's nice to have something that's easy and quick to throw together for a weekday meal. Let me know what you think of this kind of video down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my Amazon shop page. The link will be down in the description box below with the links to all the stuff I used here. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I'll be back with many more keto, low carb, healthy meals, desserts, and snack recipes. Bye guys, happy keto cooking, and have fun with something a little bit different.